Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I'm here in the States running around, and I've been talking. I always talk every place I go, but anyway, so I've been talking, and we got good conversation going on all the time, and everybody is in agreement that weird things is going on in the United States, and so we're talking about police and law enforcement, and it's one of the things that I find really, really odd. And there's one thing that separates Americans from all other nationalities that I've been faced with, and Americans, they're in general, like I say, the things have changed a lot here in the United States, but it used to be anyway. They were really independent. Their thinking is independent. They're open-minded. I mean, they're willing to listen to things. That don't mean they're going to go along with it, but they're going to listen. And one of the things we're talking about is, like I say, because they asked me, because I've been in the oil field business, I've had restaurants, and you know, I've taken advantage of the opportunities that the United States has had to offer. The trick word is had to offer. Like I say, I got into the oil business where I was able to, I told the story. I worked for a few months for free till I learned the business, and then I started my own oil company. And my first oil well was 6 months later, and you know, it just went on up to 100 oil wells, and you know, I mean, everything was great. And but the thing, and restaurants, I've had restaurants, and same thing. I started with little restaurants, and I ended up with a nightclub. And but they all came out with the same results, and that is regulations. And nowadays they look at regulations as law. I mean, everybody is producing regulations, and they enforce it like law. I had one of the comments was they're talking about how SWAT is used a lot. SWAT teams are used a lot. And I mentioned when I was training SWAT teams, okay, even that, I trained SWAT teams. Can you imagine training SWAT teams now? See, there was a time in U.S. history when your skills and abilities was all you needed to make opportunity really pay off. Things have changed a lot. And that's what I want to talk about, is now it's everybody does what they're told. And like I say, I'm not sure how that's going to work with, it doesn't work with the Americans that I associate with. The ones that I associate with are, like I say, they think. They don't just blindly follow. And then again, I'm from Oklahoma. And like I say, again, most all of my friends own some type of business. They might have a job somewhere, but they also own a business. And they have to deal with all this government. The nice way to call it is red tape, but it's not. It's like I say, it's regulations that they use force to back it up. You know, they fine you, and then you don't pay your fine. Well, then they start mugging you, throw you in jail, or kill you. So, I mean, they really take their regulations seriously. They take their laws seriously. And that's what I had another comment. They said that the guy said he didn't like cops. And I told him, well, you got to now think about this. The police nowadays, they don't do policing. Nowadays, police act more like military. Military, it's black and white, cut and dry. The rules that the military go by are very strict. And when the military occupies you, then a lot of their rules are penalty of death. Now look at our police. Like I say, they don't police anymore. They don't make these decisions. Nowadays, they do as they're told. That's why I mentioned on a video where I don't like cameras on cops, because the cops should be able to, each person they stop is an individual deal, and they should be able to talk to these people without having it recorded and out there for everybody to analyze. And because like I say, they want them to act a certain way, and so that's why the cops act this certain way. They don't police. Policing involves thinking. Policing is not doing what you're told. Policing is not law enforcement. Law enforcement is, like I say, it's awful close to military, martial law. I believe what's going on now in the United States is a degree of martial law. And the reason I say that is a lot of the so-called laws that we are faced with on the street, they make up. And or they will tell you, I am giving you an order, like that's supposed to mean something. Like I say, police are servants of the state. Police are servants of the public. This is the way it's supposed to be. We are their boss. There's certain guidelines on when they tell us to do things. They just don't order us. They just don't make this stuff up, and they do. Like I say, they come up and you try to go by the law. You can't go by the law. They make up all these laws. Either they run them through their local lawmakers, in which they're corrupt, just like our federal lawmakers are. So the laws they make are corrupt. Like I say, they're unconstitutional or they're immoral. So you really don't know what to do. You don't really know the laws, and they keep producing them so fast you don't know. Even the police don't. And like I say, that's why they make a lot of this stuff up. I made a video, and I talk about how I don't stay in the car. I get out of the car. And I know this last time they stopped me, this trip nobody's been stopped me yet. But the last trip I was up, they stopped me. And like I say, I don't stay in the car. I get out of the car. And so I opened the door. I started getting out, and I stood up, and the guy said, sit in your car. I didn't tell you to get out of your car. Get in your car and put your hands on the steering wheel. You know, and well, you know, I'm no threat. I haven't done nothing. I'm not going to sit in the car. Sitting in the car is not a safe thing. For one thing, like the traffic is going to hit you and all this stuff. And besides that, I'm taking this personal. You stopped me. And so I want to know what you stopped me for. I want to get out. We're going to talk. We're going to, you know, it's not no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. For the policeman, it's a big deal. Well, that's because the policeman doesn't know how to police. He blindly follows orders. And that blindly following is getting the policeman that the public does not like him. And so when this policeman acts like a jerk, it makes other policemen look bad. This is why you hear people talk about how bad the police are. And you and I both know there's some good police out there. Not as many as there used to be. It used to be there was a small minority that was bad. Now, seeing that the police don't think, they just do what they're told, they're following policy, police department policy, and which doesn't have nothing to do with law, that makes the public get a sour taste about the cops. And so this is something that we've all agreed on when we've been talking. And like I said, we share the experiences we've had, and it's every once in a while you get good experiences. And the way it used to be they didn't write out tickets all the time. A lot of times they just give you a warning. Now, getting a warning is a rarity. And it's really weird. What is it that people expect out of the police? And I mentioned this before. When I was young with my kids, I told my kids, there's something wrong, you go to the policeman. Now, the last thing you do is go to a policeman. In Guatemala, you stay completely away from cops. If you get in a car wreck, you do not call a cop. You deal with it right there in the street. You don't call a cop. I don't care what happens, you don't call a cop in Guatemala. And we're getting to that point here in the United States. The policemen don't know how to make judgment calls. And when they do make a judgment call, they're not backed up by the department. And like I say, they're worried about losing their job and all this kind of stuff instead of worried about doing a good job of policing. So, in other words, we have problems. We have dear problems in the United States, and they're getting worse. Like I say, people don't want to, or the people of authority don't want to stand behind their authority. Everybody with authority that's been issued authority, we've talked about people that don't work for authority, they've been issued it to them. These ones that are issued authority won't take authority unless they look over their shoulder and get the nod from the person that gave them the authority. Because if they earned their authority, they wouldn't have to be okayed. They would stand behind the judgments that they made. And now nobody wants to stand behind it. There's a bunch of wimps. So everyone that I've seen in authority is a bunch of wimps. I really work hard to try to give them the strength so they can stand behind their judgments. But a lot of times they don't want to make those judgment calls. They'd rather let somebody else do it. But that is something that's going on here in the United States right now. And it's not going to lead to anything good. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.